Welcome to this week's edition of Wolves Weekly. I'm your host, Mark Colachico, the Director of Media Relations at Western Oregon University. I'm joined today by head baseball coach Kellen Walker. Kellen, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you, Mark?
Good. Nice day out. You guys going to get out there and practice a little bit?
Yeah, weather's been good. We've been able to be outside quite a bit. So, yeah, we'll be outside again in about an hour and a half or so.
And you talk about the nice weather. You guys went back to California again last week, played at Monterey Bay, took one of four down there. Talk a little bit about that series.
Yeah, Cal State Monterey Bay had some quality arms and, a pretty deep lineup. They had quite a few returners, and, Coach White does a phenomenal job down there with that program and the guys that he brings in and then is able to develop them. So, we knew it would be a battle, and, it was a good series, kind of back and forth throughout the whole thing. In that second game that we were able to come away with a win, we were able to come up with a big hit in that fifth inning, and Matt Taylor was able to clear the bases with a double, and there was also a bunch of good at-bats in that inning and guys competing in the box and just being a little bit more consistent with their approach and their plan of, what we're asking for and what they feel good with, and just being a little bit more excited to execute that plan. And that's kind of been, something that we've struggled with up to this point this year, is coming up with that big hit, but Matt was able to do it that inning, and like I said, a couple other guys had some big at-bats that inning.
And talk a little bit about that game. It was a 7-6 victory for you guys. Like you say, Matt came up with the big double with the bases loaded there in the fifth inning. But you had some pretty good pitching performances in that game as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and I mean, our pitching staff for the most part has done a very good job for us all year and keeping us in ball games. And our hitters are going to get comfortable, and we're going to be able to get in a good spot and start being a little bit more productive at the plate. And hopefully our pitchers will be able to continue to have the quality outings that they are, and guys coming in out of the pen to get some big outs. I mean, it's kind of top to bottom. They've done a really good job. I think we've only had 2 bad starts, which, I mean, being on the road 3 consecutive weeks against 3 quality teams, you got to be impressed with what the pitchers are doing. So hopefully we'll be able to continue to stay sharp there, and they'll continue to get their work in during the week, and facing another very good team this weekend at LC State that's going to have a deep lineup, and we'll be tested again.
And you talked a little bit before we came on the air about the weather outside being the best that you've had in your 9 years here at Monmouth, and has that helped you out a little bit? I know a lot of these schools that you're playing against, Point Loma, UC San Diego, Monterey Bay, this is normal for them. They're out every day, but you guys are actually able to get out on the field. You're not having to do hitting inside or fielding inside. Has that helped you out so far?
The weather has been a plus for sure. The other thing is just the facilities. I mean, we're very, very fortunate with what we have, with obviously the turf outside, and then our outfield is in a pretty good spot now. It was a bit wet for a while, but we've been able to bring it back to life and get it in a good spot. We're able to use a couple other spots around campus, and then our indoor facility. So I mean, we're fortunate to be in a spot where we can always get our work in, but like you said, it's tough to simulate actually being on the field and being in some dry weather. So it's been a positive for us, and as you get deeper into the spring, a lot of times that weather can change quickly. So we know we'll be playing some games in some cold and some wet, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast being here.
Right, and flip the script a little bit towards this week. You guys are on the road with a 4-game series up in Lewiston, Idaho against Lewis-Clark State. You'll start on Friday with a single game at 2, follow that on Saturday, doubleheader beginning at noon, and then you wrap up the 4-game series on Sunday with a single game at noon. Lewis-Clark State, number 2 team in the NAIA, perennial powerhouse, multiple national championships in that history. You're going up against your former boss and their head coach. But talk a little bit about that series. What are you guys looking for? You're talking a little bit about that's going to be a place where you are definitely going to play in cold weather.
Yeah, it's actually supposed to be in the 50s and not too bad. So, they've redone their playing surface. They're just kind of putting the finishing touches on that. So, we're excited to go over there and kind of be able to be there when they open it up, because like you said, it's definitely a historic program with the 16 national titles, and the last 2 years they played for the national championship. So definitely a quality program. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and it's why we get them on the schedule. We want to put together the most competitive schedule we can, and it's great for baseball in the Northwest. It's an exciting time for 2 quality teams going at each other, and for us, it's another opportunity to get better and put some finishing touches on what we need to as we get ready to head into GNAC play.
And you talk about heading into GNAC play. This will be your last non-conference series of the year. What is this, along with the previous 3, going to do for you once you head to St. Martin's in 2 weeks?
I think, you know, you're able to just put everybody through some tough battles, and everybody becomes, you know, a bit more battle tested. You're definitely going to encounter multiple tough situations in GNAC play. I mean, you start off by you play everybody 8 times, and then within those 2 4-game series, you know, it's a doubleheader. So when you're playing 4 games in 2 days, it's definitely a grind and taxing on your pitching staff, taxing on your hitters. And, you know, it's a tough situation for everybody in the GNAC. So I think getting on the road, playing good competition, getting on the road again this weekend, going to play more good competition in LC State, you know, it prepares you for the tough conference schedule ahead. And, you know, we've been through some tough situations. It's, you know, obviously not the start that we were looking for, and there's no other way to say that. But you know, at the same time, you find out a lot about yourself. You find out a lot about your players as you go through some adversity and through some tough times. And for the most part, we've reacted well. We'll continue to get better, take advantage of the nice weather that you spoke of, and continue to move on.
And then, you know, finally, as we wrap up here, you're going to be 20 games into your schedule already before you even see the home turf. And those games are going to be the first weekend in March. You know, you'll have a home series here the first weekend in March, and then the second weekend in March you'll be home again. You know, that graphic there still shows on the road, but there it is. The 7th, that weekend you'll be against Central Washington, and then the following weekend, again, back-to-back days you'll be against Central Washington with doubleheaders, and then the next weekend you'll be home again. But as we said, 20 games into your season before you even see the home turf. What are you looking forward to most about being home?
You know, we'll worry about that when we get to it. Obviously, it's nice playing at home. You know, like we talked about the facilities quite a bit earlier. I'm excited about our facilities and the continuous upgrades that we're being able to make, but you know, we'll get to that when we get to it.
I think the biggest thing is going to be being home and being able to sleep in your own bed over the weekend. You haven't been able to do that for a few weekends, but it'll be good for the fans to see. Fans, just a reminder, once again, the Wolves will be on the road this week when they go to Lewis Clark State for a 4-game series beginning on Friday and ending on Sunday. And then they'll be on the road again the following week when they open GNAC play against St. Martin's. And then as we continue on and with Wolves Weekly in the next few weeks, we'll talk about it. But they'll be home for the first time in front of the home fans on the 7th and 8th of March when they take on Central Washington. So once again, Coach, we wish you good luck this week when you guys are playing the Warriors of Lewis Clark State. We'll see you again next on the next Wolves Weekly. But as always, go Wolves.